Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to head up towards Gothenburg once again. Göteborg, as you would say in Swedish, the Swedish craft beer capital. I say that so much on this channel, and we're going to revisit one of my favourite Swedish breweries. I always enjoy reviewing the new things that these guys are releasing every month, and for this one I think we've got a pretty good one. For this review then we are going to go back to Beerbliotek and we're having a look at a beer that's got a hell of a name to it. So this one is called You Can Lead a Horse to Water but You Can't Make Them Enjoy the View. It's number 280 in their numbering system that they have, and it's a New England double IPA coming in at 8% ABV. So I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the last little while. The last one I reviewed was the Brother Barrel, which was one of the first 3 sours that they released last month. I had before that, I had the They're Playing Our Song. That was the collaboration with Finback. That was in New England. There was the I'm So Aware This Is Happening, which was a really nice West Coast IPA. And then I think before that it was the Eternal Dankness and Eternal Darkness, the stout, and the big West Coasty IPA that I had. So yeah, all very, very nice beers, and you know, I've done a number of different beers from Beerbliotek. These guys are a very prolific brewery, and that's one of the things I've always found quite impressive about them, is that they do so many different beers, and you know, they always turn out to be pretty damn good. These guys are not scared to try different styles, so you know, have a go at it. I do wish I could get a hold of some of the other barrel-aged ones from Beerbliotek, but they've not been released from the brewery yet, actually. They do have a Scotch ale, like a barrel-aged Scotch ale at Beerbliotek, which I would love to review, but I need to find some way of getting a hold of that, actually. We'll need to, I don't know how I would be able to do that. I need to find out where it's been supplied to. But yeah, very much looking forward to trying this one. It'd be nice to try. I don't know if I've actually had a double New England IPA. I've had a few New England IPAs from these guys, but I can't remember how many of them were doubles and singles and things like that. But this is a style that these guys do well. They do pretty much all the styles pretty well in my experience, and hopefully this turns out to be another good beer, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on it. So yeah, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Beerbliotek before, and no doubt there will be some more at some point in the near future, probably next month. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, which is all the time. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Beerbliotek then, on to my brewery notes. So this brewery, as I've told you many a time, are based in Gothenburg. They were founded back in 2013 by a multinational group of friends. This is Adam Norman, who's Australian, Richard Bull, who's Kiwi, New Zealand, Anders Hedlund, who's a Swede, and then there's Darryl Denecker, who's from South Africa. So Adam and Richard ran Bar Doppio in Gothenburg, and Darryl and Anders were regular customers at the bar, and they often just used to sit and talk away about beer, and then one day they decided to buy a brew kit together and start brewing their own stuff, and it went really pretty well for them, I have to say. So the original brewery that these guys had is in the old Klippan Sugar building, which is a really nice old building and very close to the old Carnegie Brewery in Gothenburg. Quite a famous company if we're talking about beer in Gothenburg. The Gammal, what's it called? The Gammal Carnegie Bryggeriet, if I remember rightly. And the old Carnegie Porter is a pretty famous beer. I need to review that for you at some point. But the brew kit that they had originally was from Brewfab in Scotland, and in the first year they were apparently brewed 38 different varieties of beer. All of their beers were brewed in small batches, and so in the early days they were sticking to their kind of home brewing roots of very rarely brewing the same beer. They had no fixed range, and were always brewing brand new beers, and they are still doing that today. But there are beers that you will see popping up fairly regularly. A Passion for Gingers is one. There's always new incarnations of the Eternal Dankness and the Eternal Darkness and things like that. So they have brought back beers that have proved to be a little bit popular. But in 2015 they opened a second brewery in Kungsten, which is where they have their tap room, and they now run their main brewing operations there as well. The old brewery at the Klippan Soka Fabriken, I think that's what they call it, Klippan Soka Fabriken, that is now their sour beer brewery, and so that's where the Brother Barrel that you saw me review last time from these guys was brewed. So they're producing the sour beers there, and they're also working on a barrel aging project in the new brewery as well. You've only seen me review one beer from the barrel aging project, and that was the Would I Lie to You, which was really nice. If I remember right, was that a barley wine that had like tonka beans and things in it? I can't remember if it had tonka beans in it, but that was a lovely beer. The Would I Lie to You is one of the best beers I've had from Beerbliotek, and that's not a statement I take lightly, because you know, a lot of the beers are very, very good quality from these guys. But the idea behind the name Beerbliotek was that they wanted to kind of teach their customers something new about beer with every one that they were producing. So new hops, new malts, and you know, new yeast strains and new styles and stuff like this as well. So the idea was basically to create a library but with beer, hence the name Beerbliotek. So yeah, a really interesting brewery this one. As I say, I always enjoy reviewing beers from these guys because they tend to be very good quality. And yeah, if you're interested in Swedish breweries, I think this is one that you should definitely check out. I know that they are exporting quite a little bit. You can get some of the Beerbliotek beers in Scotland, but the thing I always found strange was that if I went to Scotland I would see Beerbliotek beers that I couldn't get here in Sweden, but it seems to be the rules are relaxing a little bit, so yeah, hopefully we can get more and more Beerbliotek stuff over the next little while. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about Beerbliotek for the moment. As I said, one of my personal favourite Swedish breweries. If you want to learn more, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages for all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, should be really cool, this one. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer. Pardon me a sec. There we go. Felt that building all the way through that section there. But yeah, for this one then, you can see the artwork is it's pretty kind of standard for Beerbliotek. Usually, you know, you've always got this kind of bee here, and then it's some kind of old school graphic pattern. It kind of reminds me of some of these wallpapers that you see from people's houses in the 1970s or something like that. It's quite almost retro, actually. But yeah, I quite like how I do like the artwork on these Beerbliotek beers, quite minimalist. But yeah, nice little 330ml can. One thing that I always love about the Beerbliotek one is that they put Swedish craft beer on it. I wish that more breweries would do that, you know, put the country of origin on it. I think that's always interesting. But yeah, I really like the labels that these guys have, and yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them enjoy the view. Number 280, a New England double IPA. A horse walks up to a watering hole and asks the person standing there, why the long name? We have long beer names at beerbliotek.com. So yeah, I think Beerbliotek are trolling me a little bit. I need to figure out what to call this video when I actually upload it onto YouTube. I might just need to call it You Can Lead a Horse and then put the full name of the beer in the video description below. That's probably what's going to have to happen. But yeah, let's get this guy out then and see how we get on with the tasting. As I said to you at the start of the video, this beer was released on the 1st of April. Oh, this smells really juicy actually when you open it up. This beer was released on the 1st of April 2020 through the local and småskaligt assortment in Systembolaget here in Sweden. And yeah, I think this was the only one they released this month. I think they did only release one beer this month. Usually Beerbliotek, last month they released 3, they were all sour beers. I don't think there was any releases from the regular range, and next month I don't know what they're doing. I don't think the list of the local beers has been released for me yet. So yeah, but I guess maybe with the coronavirus it's maybe not going to be as much, so that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get so many for April actually. So yeah, as you can see with this one, this is poured a lovely a lovely kind of bright, this is definitely got somewhere between the orange and the yellow. It's got a lovely kind of orangey tint to it in the middle, but it's got a lovely kind of bright yellow colour around the edge of it. This is a sort of medium coloured New England IPA. If I put my fingers behind the glass there, you can see this one is really pretty hazy. As I've always said to you, when it comes to these beers, they're going to get hazier and hazier in terms of their appearance as you go up the alcohol scale, more oats, more malt and so on. But with this one, you can see there's a 2/3 finger of a frothy, I would say cream coloured head on this one. It's not a perfect white head, but yeah, it looks really nice. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking to the side of the glass. You can see there's a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head, but I think this beer might be really pretty smooth. So yeah, nothing overly surprising about the appearance of this one when you consider what style it is. But let's take a closer look at that aroma and see how we get on. So yeah. Oh, this smells really good actually. It's interesting with this one because when you go in and actually smell it in the glass, it's got a lovely the malt base in this is quite interesting because it does have a little bit of a bitey, wheaty quality to it. You can smell the creaminess from the oats, but you do get quite a bit of biscuit out of this one, I think. You know what? I don't know what kind of malt it could be. Could it be a bit of Carapils or Golden Promise? I have noticed this actually. When I think about it, I've noticed this in a few videos recently that a lot of breweries seem to be adding a bit more of a biscuity flavour into their IPAs now, and I've always felt that with the New Englands that was something that was interesting, and I first noticed it with the Brewski beers back around the sort of time that Conan came out, and that would have been 2017 maybe? Yeah, but I first noticed that back then. I always thought that when you start to go above 8% with a New England, you really start to struggle to cover the booze unless you put a bit of, you know, caramel sweetness or something in it. Like, and you don't have that problem with the West Coast IPAs. And I've noticed that in recent times, a lot of breweries seem to just be adding a little bit of a biscuity flavour and upping some of the you know, these ones that are a bit stronger. There does seem to be a bit more of this kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of flavour going in, like Carapils and Golden Promise and you know, Maris Otter malts and things like this going into you know, Maris Otter's not that common right enough. I think it's more Carapils that people are putting into these beers, but you can definitely smell there is a good bit of a biscuity, that kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity booziness coming out of this particular beer. So that's really interesting. I like how this I do like how the aroma of this one goes together. In terms of the hoppy side of things then, I actually think the hops give you a lot of juiciness. There's not too much in the way of a green side of things. You can pick out a little bit of earthiness, you can pick out some nice floral aromaticity there as well, but I think it actually leans towards a kind of grassiness. It's almost got a little bit of a kind of grassy zestiness to it. Yeah, I mean, it's not overly prominent actually. It's got a good bit of wheatiness, bit of a kind of grassy zestiness. Both of those sort of match up together quite well. And on the fruity side of things, I mean, for me, this is quite a soft tropical New England IPA. There's not really any, I don't get any real oranges out of it. Maybe a little bit actually. I always do things like that. I always say, well, I don't get this, and then you think about it and like, oh, well, maybe. But yeah, for me, I wondered when I opened this up, there was just something in my head that said Idaho 7. Because of the softness, there was a real, when I opened up this can, it was a real kind of mango, papaya, apricot-y sort of thing, those really soft kind of tropical fruits. That was what came out of the can right away, and there was just something in my head that was saying Idaho 7. And I've noticed, I had a review recently that it was, I think it was the Stigberg's Ololeo, and there was a comment on that from Shredder, who's a regular, and he really made me think about some of these things, because there was Simcoe in that, and Simcoe is a very kind of soft, almost milky passion fruity note, but I find that Simcoe's not the most complex of hops. It's very kind of straight up, and there's nothing wrong with that right enough, but it does make me wonder. I am thinking a bit more about these tropical fruits now, but I do think there might be Idaho 7 in here, because of just the way the softness of the tropical fruits is coming out, and then you've really got quite a prominent, the more and more you smell of this, it starts to lean towards a sort of papaya, apricot-y sort of thing. You do have a bit of the darker and more, you know, darker sour type you know, passion fruity notes coming out of this. You do have a little bit of that, but really this leans towards that very soft tropical fruit note. There might be a wee bit of an orange to this one. I can pick out almost a bit of an orangey sweetness on the front of the nose. So, and it's very, very soft, so maybe it's Sabro. It could be Sabro, because Sabro is kind of making a bit of a break into the Scandinavian beer scene at the moment, which is quite exciting. But yeah, I don't know in this one, but yeah, I would say overall with the fruits, it's got a lovely kind of tropical softness to it. I would say papayas, apricots, and things like that. And then you've also got that kind of nice biscuity quality to it as well. As I say, you've got that big kind of caramelly biscuity thing sitting in behind it. But yeah, the fruits are very soft and tropical. You've got a bit of a kind of sweetness to the malt base, bit of a wheaty quality as well, and it leans towards the grassy side of things. So the aroma in this one, I have to say, is pretty damn nice. I like how this goes together. So yeah, take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one. Overall, it strikes me as a very smooth, light, juicy, and actually the more and more I smell of it, the oats start to come out a bit more. It really starts to get more creamy the more that you smell of this beer. So yeah, take a bit of time to enjoy that aroma. You will always get a good aroma out of the Beerbliotek beers, but yeah, let's have a look at this one then and see how we go on. This one is called You Can Lead a Horse to Water, but You Can't Make Them Enjoy the View. Probably, I think that's the longest name for a beer I've reviewed on the channel, so Beerbliotek, my hat's off to you for that. Let's get stuck into this one then. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, that's really nice actually. Noticing this, it's actually very, it's not as creamy as the aroma was making me think. This is more of a kind of, this is actually more, it strikes me as more of a malty New England IPA, if that makes sense. You know, it's not the most creamy of ones that you're going to come across. It actually has, first impression of it is that it actually has a good bit of graininess to it, which is a wee bit of a surprise. That's interesting. But I like this. This is more of a kind of malty, it really is more of a kind of malty and slightly grainy New England IPA, but the juiciness and the fruitiness is interesting. There's a bit more of a hop prominence to this one as well actually. And I don't think I'm drinking this one too fresh. I think I've got it in pretty good condition just now. I mean, we're on the 14th of April now, and this beer was released on the 1st, so it's been in the can about 2 weeks. And as I said to you, I always think that New England's need somewhere in the region of 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks in the can, just to sort of mellow out, and then you get all of the you know, the kind of green thing out of that. And obviously when Systembolaget have had it, I'd guess it's been canned at least a week before it's been sent to them. So this is in quite good nick just now, and I like this one. I think this is, again, this is quite nice. But it's quite different to the last one that I had, They're Playing Our Song, the Finback collaboration. That was really big, smooth and creamy. This one's definitely a little bit more of, it's definitely a little bit more kind of, not flat, but it's definitely a bit more grainy in its malt base, I guess I would say. I think this is more of a kind of, it strikes me as being a little bit more kind of old school actually in some ways. It's almost like a, it's almost like a German malt base, and then you've got the kind of the sort of American hoppiness on top of it. It's almost, it's what I would imagine like some of the old school, if you had a New England IPA being brewed by some of the new wave craft brewers in Germany, maybe about 5 years ago. That's what I imagine this beer is kind of like. But I like this one. This gets a thumbs up from me. It's just, this is quite different from what I was expecting. I thought this would be a big kind of creamy thing actually, but it really is quite different. So yeah, let's try and break down the flavour of this one then and explain it to you a little bit. Pardon me. So yeah, as you go across the middle of your palate there, you can feel straight away with this one, you're just blanketed with that nice kind of pale malty note. As you go further into the aftertaste, that dries out and it becomes a little bit more grainy. If you go to the very centre of your palate, there is a wee bit of a biscuity quality there, but I really find this beer is kind of straight up and quite grainy. There's not really, from the aroma that was coming out of this one, I thought there would be a lot more kind of biscuity qualities and a lot more creaminess and a bit more wheat to it, but to me the malt base that's in this beer is kind of, it's kind of plain actually, which is really not what I was expecting. And it works, it really works for the kind of profile that this beer has, it really does. I mean, you do get bits of it. If you go to the back of the palate, you do get some of the wheaty notes in there. If you come further forward on it, you do get some of the oaty creaminess and you'll get some of the biscuity notes, but really those kind of gradually fade away and you're left with that sort of grainy, pale malty type base to this beer, which is really interesting. I didn't quite expect that from this one, I have to say. In the back corners of the palate, if we move on to the hoppy side of things now, you've got a little bit of earthiness there. It's actually quite a dark earthiness, to be honest with you. So I wonder if they've maybe used, you know, Chinook or Columbus or something as a bittering hop, because as you come further forward along the sides of the tongue there, it really does have a nice little bit of a kind of spicy floral note to it. There's something that tells me that could be Columbus. It might well be Chinook, but I think Chinook would give you a bit more of a grapefruity presence, although in fairness you do start to get some of that. So I think there's either Chinook or Chinook or perhaps Columbus in this one. I'm tempted to say it's Columbus, to be honest with you, because the fruits don't really have that big dark grapefruity thing actually. But I like how the I really like how the flavour on this one goes together. It's got a really, this is a very interesting, quite quirky beer from the New England perspective. That fruity side of things, behind the front curve of the palate, you get that lovely oily bubble there, where the fruity esters start to push the way out of the beer. Around the front edge of the tongue you've got a nice kind of grassiness to it, but then on the fruity side of things, yeah, this is nice. As I say, it's got quite a soft kind of tropical fruity thing to it. If you go towards the back of that oily bubble, there is a little bit of the darker kind of passion fruity notes, but then as you come further forward from that, you start to get the mango, the apricots, the papayas, those lovely lighter tropical fruits. And as you move right onto the front edge of the tongue, there might well be a little bit of a kind of orangey kind of note out of this one. I'm wondering, because the orange for me is quite different from this. Could there be a bit of Sabro in this? I'm not sure. And Sabro would also give you some of these tropical notes as well, because Sabro's got a bit of complexity to it. So that's an interesting point to make. I do wonder if it could be Idaho 7 and Sabro that's in this. I mean, there are other hops. If we talk about tropical fruits, Galaxy, of course, you've got it's a big passion fruity bomb, that hop. You've got Simcoe, which is the kind of softer one. You've got El Dorado over in America as well, but that's not used that much. From New Zealand, you've got Riwaka, Rakau, all of these kind of things. Idaho 7's the new boy on the block when it comes to these kind of softer tropical fruits. There's also Victoria's Secret, which was one that Shredder made me think about again. That's kind of like the little brother of Galaxy, basically. So it could be something like that. I like playing Guess the Hops with these beers and trying to think what they have used. When it comes to the orangey side of things, I don't think it's Amarillo because it's not orangey enough to be Amarillo. I don't think it's Waiti in this one because it's not oily enough. I think there is a wee bit of an orange flavour to this one. I think it's either Sabro or it could be a bit of Mosaic, because you do have a little bit of that earthiness in this beer. The other option it could be is Azaka. And Azaka would give you a little bit of a kind of tropically note as well. But I think Azaka, if I remember right, it's pineapple that it usually gives you, and I don't really get so much in the way of pineapple from this beer. But yeah, basically the fruity mix on this one, at the back of that oily bubble, darker kind of passion fruity notes. As you come further forward, papayas, apricots, things like that, and then as you reach the front part of the palate, it's a little bit more of a kind of lighter orangey quality, and on the very front edge of the tongue you do have a little bit of a kind of citrusy zestiness to this one as well. So yeah, there is a wee bit of a, I do get like a little touch of a gooseberry lychee kind of thing out of this one. Like when you take the liquid in, there is a wee bit of just this gooseberry lychee type thing. That could be Citra. Citra's always the one I found that has the complexities that will give you that. So that's an interesting point to make about this beer as well. There could just be some Citra in here. But this is one, the flavours really evolve in this as you go further into the aftertaste. You really feel the sort of spicy dankness on the sides of your palate growing, and you do feel some of those darker tropical fruits, almost like a kind of dark grapefruit. It starts to push its way out the further you go into the aftertaste as well, and that's starting to make me lean a little bit towards saying there's a bit of Chinook in here. actually. So yeah, this is a beer that definitely makes me think a little bit. It's one that evolves on the palate quite a bit, but the malt base is interesting, as I say, because it's not your typical big thick sort of oaty creamy sort of thing, or your more bitey wheaty thing. It's got a little bit of those in the beginning, but really the malt base dries out a little bit, it becomes a wee bit more grainy, and then the flavour kind of evolves a lot into the aftertaste as well. But I like this one, I do like this. Is it my favourite IPA that I've had from Beerbliotek? I'm not sure, but you know, the thing is, these guys will always give you something that's a bit different. I wonder if they've used a different yeast or something in this. Pardon me, because I don't know. I'm curious with this as to what their kind of mindset was when they were brewing it, because it is quite a bit different to the other ones. I mean, when I think about New England IPAs, there was the one from 6 Degrees North. There was They're Playing Our Song, and you know, this one is quite different to those. When I think about it, those were both big kind of creamy things, whereas this one, well, no, I suppose the 6 Degrees North one that they had was a bit of a Belgian kind of New England crossover, from what I remember. But yeah, the Finback one was very thick and smooth and creamy, and this one they've taken a more sort of grainy approach, which is interesting. I really would be curious to know what the idea was, what kind of beer they were thinking to brew with this. But the main question to ask is it a good beer? And I think it is. I really like the fruity side of this one. The way the fruits come out in this, for me, is the highlight of the beer, but it's also got that kind of stronger bitterness to it as well, which I think is interesting. So yeah, if you want a more bitter New England IPA, this could be one to have a look at. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say I think this is a pretty mid-bodied beer. Yeah, mid-bodied. Carbonation is really quite smooth in this one. It's quite a wet mouthfeel, I think. It's got a bit of smoothness to it, but it's also got a little bit of wetness. You have some, you know, you've got a good bit of hoppy, but I would say overall this is quite a wet, it really has quite a bit of wetness to it. You've got a nice little bit of smoothness in there as well, and you've also got some you've got a really nice big bitterness to this. I think this beer is sitting around for sort of 50-60 IBUs, something like that. So it has got a bit more of a West Coasty type bitterness to it. Lovely juicy fruity notes. The malt base, like I said, has a wee bit more of a kind of drier graininess to it in the middle of the palate, but then you do have some of the oaty creaminess, biscuity sweetness, and the kind of wheaty bitiness in the beginning as well. But overall, I really like this one, and it's been nice to review this beer for you here on the channel too. Always enjoy reviewing something new from Beerbliotek. So let's leave it at that for this one. This one was that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them enjoy the view. A New England Hazy IPA coming in at 8% ABV, number 280 in the Beerbliotek system. Quite an interesting one. Lovely fruity characters to it, a bit more kind of hoppy and bitter in my mind, and also a little bit kind of drier and more grainy in the malt base, really. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. A really quite interesting beer, and thumbs up to Beerbliotek for trying something a little bit different actually. So yeah, check this one out while you still have the chance. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Beerbliotek as well. We will no doubt return to these guys at some point next month, and I do hope that we can review some more of their barrel aged series at some point in the future, and I look forward to more sours from them as well. Go and check them out, and I will catch you guys very soon. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them enjoy the view. 8% New England Double IPA from Beerbliotek Gothenburg here in Sweden. Slanja, skål, cheers.